I'm Kyle Lamont, the host of ConcertCast, a travel podcast exploring concert culture, and this is my first ever audio field note, a blog post read out loud, titled A Paradox Wrapped in Magic, My Backstage Tour at the Grand Ole Opry. It was a small group of us that signed up for a backstage tour at the Grand Ole Opry, all from somewhere else, Idaho, Colorado, Maine, yet unified in our curiosity. However, during my tour, I'm faced with a podcast conundrum. Do these backstage experiences take away the magic or enhance it? And I'm left second-guessing my own podcast about concert culture. But when I embrace the spirit of being a tourist, it allows me to move past all my overthinking, and I find that the most surprising takeaway is a personal history with the venue. At 4 p.m. sharp, electronic doors swung open, and we were ushered into a very lavish living room. Within minutes of taking a seat, a 3D version of Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood appear. They weren't a video or a hologram, but the in-between version. It was super high-tech, very cutting edge, and very cool. And through them, a dramatic highlight reel played, while they narrated the history and laid the groundwork for the Opry's significance. There was music, choreographed lights, an outstanding script. It was emotional, and I was moved by the history of live music and also by the production value. But at the same time, I felt like I was sort of being force-fed the importance of this venue. I had already bitten the lore and was on the line. I can see the value of a sparkling marketing piece to attract me, but I was already on board. Was this overdone, or was I already overthinking this thing? After the emotional lubricant was applied, finally comes the tour. Another set of animatronic doors swung open for us, and we're ushered into the lobby of the venue, where we start to watch another video. So if the first video didn't impress the importance of what we were about to do, this one made sure to do that for us. And while the very knowledgeable and perky guide brings us down a very long hallway, I get to thinking about how much I actually do enjoy these kinds of tours. They're bottled up and packaged just right, homogenized and safe. Yet at the same time, I begin to overanalyze ConcertCast, a podcast that I created to evoke deeper feelings of concert culture by talking to the people at the heart of the industry, and much like this backstage tour, to lift the veil. But now I have something new to consider. Where should the curtain fall? We walked through another set of doors, which officially brought us backstage. You could tell this also by the lighting, which was really, really bright, all the stage hands that were, pacing around, patiently waiting for the bands to load in, and lots of road cases lining the walls. We keep walking, and then we turned a corner into the TV studio where Hee Haw, a country-themed television variety show, was filmed, and where new TV specials are filmed now too. There was a huge drop-down screen and a balcony for a TV audience, along with lighting rigs and trusses. And then you guessed it, another video begins to play, explaining the importance of the room. From there, we're brought into the lobby of all the dressing rooms, which actually felt like the lobby of an office complex, complete with a guard behind a desk who was checking IDs. But what caught my eye was a little post office where members of the Opry receive fan mail. At this point of the tour, it feels like we're in a museum at an old house, where we get to check out all the different types of rooms, which are roped off to us from actually going inside. And while we're walking around, the guide explains to us how each dressing room is designed differently and mentioned musicians who prefer certain rooms and why. Dolly Parton loves the purple-themed room with crystal chandeliers and velvet couches. Each room had its own vibe and decor with multitude of colors and patterns. And they were squeaky clean, appearing barely used. Honestly, they felt more like a hotel room, and I was a little disappointed that they didn't have more marks of the musicians. From years of interviewing bands backstage at venues, there really is a sense of time in the walls, but the backstage area here felt superimposed. I was fascinated more so with the mystery of what they were trying to cover up. What party stains did a cleaner spend hours removing? What's the real narrative going on back here? I mean, country music can be known for its antics and shenanigans, right? But this backstage area felt completely void of all of that. So when I asked the guide if she could share any wild stories from back here, she says that actually artists are on their best behavior because they want to be invited back. After she framed it that way, the backstage area now held a narrative of privilege, success, and of reverence, much like a place of worship. We're then brought into the main lounge area where a huge mural is on full display. It was painted by Archie Campbell, and the image depicts a night at the Opry in the early days where a bunch of cartoon characters, similar to a Where's Waldo setup, are dancing all over the stage, having the time of their life. The mural was the only relic that showed the venue's age because there was no sheen on it. In fact, it was water-stained from the 2010 flood. The details that our guide shared with us left me in disbelief because the waterline on the mural was about 4 feet off the ground, indicating that the stage upon which we were about to walk onto was also underwater. Bouncing back from that disaster is a testament to the power of this place and the people who operate it. And this is the realness that I was looking for and what I aim to tell in ConcertCast episodes. The challenges that a venue or artist endure is where the story starts. And that shared human experience is what I love about podcasting. The power is in the story, the real story. We walked down a dark hallway. If you haven't noticed yet, the Opry is full of hallways, and then spill out onto the stage. We're completely enveloped by the massive auditorium with rows of cushioned church pews. And while we're not performers, I think we all understood the wow factor that Garth and Trisha talked about in their moving welcome video that all musicians feel as they step onto the stage and take in the majestic moment. And just steps away, the infamous circle, where so many musicians stand and sing their hearts out. And what's really cool about this 6-foot circle patch of wood is that it's from the stage of the Ryman, another historic music venue in Nashville, which was the original home of the Grand Ole Opry until the show moved in 1974 to its current location. Brad Paisley says, I think keeping physically and metaphorically this bond with the past is something that separates the Opry from almost all other musical institutions. And the stark difference between the wood grains dazzled in the lights for me. The circle was really light, a blend of white oak and sturdy maple, definitely weathered, while the rest of the stage was newer, crisper, darker, like a mahogany or walnut. While on stage, I felt like an imposter. That I was too close to the light, too close to the magic. And like static electricity, I'm shocked back into reality. Does this moment take away from the charm or enhance it? I'm not a musician, so I didn't feel worthy to stand in the circle, but I stepped inside anyway to absorb that collective feeling that all humans long for, a moment to be seen and heard and to share their passion. After a stop at the gift shop and some dinner in Opryland, I take my seat in a pew and get ready for the show. Surprise, surprise, more videos are played on monstrous big screens, just driving home the history of this place. At long last, a fun host walks onto the stage. The Opry is a long-standing radio performance, so the format follows that tradition. Throughout the course of the evening, I saw about 15 to 20 different bands. There was an intermission, and each band played only about 3 to 4 songs each. There was just never a dull moment. And in between each band playing, stagehands would rush out onto the stage and reconfigure the setup for the next band's performance. And all while that's happening, the host is reading radio ads. The entire night felt like I was listening to the radio with my eyes closed. No two acts were the same type of country music. It was old-timey bluegrass, one performance, and then modern contemporary country the next. But the real enchantment of the night for me was knowing that my parents once sat in the audience back in the 90s when both Clint Black and Garth Brooks performed on the very same night. Sitting on the pews transported me through time. And I love that. Yes, another thing I love about venues. I love that they're a connective thread across generations. So like an apparition going back in time, my mind's eye watched as my parents walked through the doors, all dressed up, found their row, and then watched the musicians step onto the stage for their moment in the circle. When I left the Opry, my system felt shocked. Not by the bitter Tennessee winter air, but by how cynical I can be. People enjoy backstage tours. I had a blast on mine. I mean, there is a reason why 20 of these run daily. Because the joy of being a tourist, letting go and being swept up in the lore is to be open and curious. And that's also what I aim to offer through ConcertCast, to talk with the people who live and breathe live music. Sharing their stories and reflections doesn't demystify, rather it makes a connection and brings the listener deeper inside the experience. And I think that works when the story revealed is as real as a water stain. Type in ConcertCast.live to check out some photos from my experience, and find ConcertCast on iTunes and Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts for more live music stories. I'm Kyle Lamont from ConcertCast, and thank you for listening.